Hey, I'm Joe, and welcome to Lighting Answers, where we're going to answer your questions all about lighting, lighting design, home automation, and a few other topics that relate to the world of lighting. This is a brand new series. We're starting it right now after all the regulations have gone in that have phased out the 40 and 60 watt bulbs. Everyone is throwing their hands up in the air and saying, what do I do? What kind of bulbs do I buy? And I'm totally confused by all these new options and funky looking things. People are familiar with CFLs, but not necessarily LEDs. So what I want to do is, before we just jump into everything in the series, we're going to have many different episodes, so you'll be able to look at these in little bite-sized chunks and get all the different answers to your questions, and you'll be able to write in with email and so forth, and I'll answer those as we go along. But first, I wanted to just talk a little bit about me and what my background is and why you should potentially listen to me and not perhaps some other expert who has some big degree. Because do I have a degree in lighting or something? Well, no, not necessarily. I have 20 years of personal experience doing my own lighting, interior lighting design, home automation, and just basically decorating with light. I have loved lighting since I was a kid, and so many people have said, you know, you have all this knowledge, you should put it onto YouTube. Well, here we are, putting it onto YouTube. So I said I've been doing this for about 20 years. 20 years ago, I got my first home automation system, and I was doing a lot of things with halogen lighting when all that was really coming into being. And today I have switched over completely to LED because it's the most energy efficient, and you can have a lot of lights for less power, and obviously there's less ongoing cost. Now, one thing that you might say is, you know, well, what can you do with light? And I think that you can decorate with light. I think that light just by itself is beautiful, and you might say, lighting is not beautiful. My paintings, my artwork, and the world is beautiful. But think about if we didn't have the sun, which is basically the brightest light source that we know. Well, you wouldn't be able to see anything. And if we didn't have the sun, well, honestly, there would be a lot of other things that we wouldn't have. In fact, most likely we wouldn't even be here. So anyways, I thought I would put my lighting information out there about talking about decorating with light and obviously all the different types of lighting and lamps that you can have, and pushing that out there. And we'll put up a couple different photos and things of some of the installs that I've done over the years. So anyways, I believe in designing with light first and foremost. Even before I will actually put up artwork or think about other things, I will think about how do you light a space, lighting a room. And that's what I generally like to do. It seems that I like to start with a nice blank space that doesn't even have a lot of existing light fixtures in it. Or if they are, I will start modifying and tweaking them to suit my needs, and then putting other lights in their place. So anyways, the other thing you can do, of course, is add a lot of quantity of lights. That's what I like to do as well. We'll get into that more later in the series when we get into kind of home automation and some lighting design. Nowadays with LED lights, you can do a lot of lights, individual lights, for less ongoing cost because you're not paying a whole lot for power. And if you put them on perhaps home automation controls, or you're putting them on dimmers, then you can control them and you can kind of paint your area with light, and you can really use light as an entire way to decorate and beautify your home or whatever location you're working with. The other thing to do nowadays is light with color. Some people have taken this to the nth degree. Some people have gone way overboard. You may have heard of the Philips Hue series, which are color changing lights, and they can also help you with your circadian rhythms at night and fall asleep better and so forth. They're a little expensive now, but there are some other products coming online. We'll talk about more of that later in the series. But I believe that you can do lighting with color. You have to do it just in a correct, small little bits and pieces instead of gigantically going overboard and changing all of your lights to red or green or something like that. But they can definitely be helpful in certain instances. So the last part that we're going to talk about in this series, and this will be later on, is about home automation. And I'm not necessarily just talking about, well, you can automate your drapes and so forth. That's really the advanced end of home automation. But today we have the Internet of Things. We have smart thermostats, and we have all of these controls for electronic, sensing door locks, with your smartphone and so forth like that. But the main thing that I got into was with dimmers and lighting control and lighting automation through home automation modules, and we'll talk more about that. That's where you can get into scene lighting, and you can make something that looks really beautiful in just a few steps, and sometimes for less money than you might think. And the great part about a lot of them is that you can put them somewhere, and if you happen to move, you can simply pull them out and take them with you. We'll go into more detail about that later. So that's a little bit about me. I have done so many different things with lighting, whether it is actually at home. I've done some theatrical work and club lighting work over the years, and I've done just a little bit about everything. And now I get to share it with you. But we do call this series Lighting Answers. I am here to answer your lighting questions, so I do encourage you to send me an email at questions@answers.lighting. That's kind of a flip, but lighting is this new internet domain name, and I picked that up. So again, questions@answers.lighting. Shoot that off, and I will get to that in an upcoming episode. Also, I'm also on Patreon. If you like what I'm doing, and if eventually you don't want to see the ads here on YouTube, we're going to get up to a certain threshold. So I encourage you, just click the link in the show notes, and we'll send you over to Patreon, and you can support the show in any way that you would like on there. And otherwise, do subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and you can find us, of course, on Twitter and Facebook and all the other social networks, so that you can find and get our latest episodes all the time. And other than that, I am Joe Dugandzic, and we are Lighting Answers, and I will talk to you next time.